Imagine your mind to be a lake. A lake full of people representing those within speaking distance of you: teachers, family, colleagues, friends, strangers, insecure lovers and standoffish co-workers. On your shore is a lifeguard. She's wearing a boyish costume, concealing a body type completely opposite to what it suggests. Under her fabric is a pistol-like physique that is only obvious when she throws her arms above her head for an amount of time that is simply unfair to those in view of her station. During her stretch, a 7-inch strip of skin below and above her belly button is exposed. A thin, athletic back can be seen as she twists her torso to correct her spine. Before her joints click her back to mediocrity, a stiff wind reveals that the face behind her thick dark hair is identical to yours. She is your twin, a perfect doppelganger. Except, where her mouth should be, there is a small hole fit for nothing else but the bright red whistle resting on her chest, dangling from its lanyard. Though the whistle has great volume, she must choose wisely when to use it. The more she whistles, the more she is taken for granted, and the more she is ignored. The girl is nameless. The locals know her as the one who blows. Her task is to notify the people swimming in her lake of dangerous objects that float from the bottom to the surface. Water bottles, logs, turtle shells, and the occasional dead body. These objects are her thoughts. The more harmless the object, the more common and predictable her thought is. The dead bodies and bloody garments appear about every 2 years. Objects of this magnitude represent the most profound and intimate statements and inquiries. As you age from a melon-headed toddler to an adult, you are introduced to yourself in clearer quality. Every year you become more aware of your mental inabilities, your physical imperfections, your moral inconsistencies, your twisted fantasies, your salacious desires, and the weaknesses that by now you've learned are stuck on you, like Sharpie ink on cotton slacks. We develop the suspicion that if others were to thoroughly consume and digest us in our entirety, to truly behold what stands before them, we would surely be abandoned. That the people we adore the most would be disgusted by the thoughts sitting behind our foreheads. Within her psyche lives an insecurity so old and fat from its inexhaustible diet of trauma, that she has become ever constant in her subconscious tailoring of people's opinions of her. She has fashioned a mask containing the fabrics of personalities that are not her own. To keep those who matter unaware of her nature, she distracts them from paying too much attention. They mustn't notice the flawed skin beyond her threads of misdirection. Every interaction with her is carefully manicured to reach her desired effect. She is deliberate in her actions, not a mistake is made. The way she walks too, and from her station. A catwalk. Her well-timed, mid-shift yoga poses. Pornographic. The incessant notification of floating objects. A facade. The person she is, when she has only her thoughts as company, is a fearful and pathetic creature. One that is confused about what it is and who it ought to be. With an appetite for attention and recognition, far exceeding the size of its stomach. This creature, be it full of charms, cannot seduce itself into happiness. Today, she pays the price for her cheap words. She spots a single eyelash floating yards away from the nearest visitor. Immediately she scrambles for her whistle to blow it. And nothing. No one moves, no one cares. It's as if she weren't there. She thinks to herself, must they be so cold? Why must you use your inability to see life's color as a virtue? Should I be like you? Should I aspire to be a blind man who preaches that the world is only sounds and textures? How the hell would he know? To most, she may seem angry. But in truth, she has registered their silence as the beginnings of abandonment. To her, their behavior is proof of the worthlessness she suspects characterizes her existence. In an act of rebellion, she vows to go mute. For weeks, she sits atop the lifeguard tower with her arms crossed in defiance. It's a foggy August night. The moonlight is so bright, however, something does not feel right. She's finding it difficult to keep her eyes from the lake and its visitors, as she would rather not be caught looking. But her pupils are attracted to what she has sworn herself against. Lacking the strength to resist her urges, she opens one eye and notices that the lake is now empty. Men, children and women, the whole lot, have aimed for the bottom. They are in search of her thoughts. So curious for what they'll find. The deeper they dive, the farther into her mind. Her past is where they are. With listening ears and open hearts, they heal her mental scars. Minutes go by and they grow unaware that they are only human, and their bodies need air. So much has changed since her words became rare. With a prolonged stare, her deepest intents are shared. Her soul is open for all to see. In a state of silence and hesitance to speak, she is most worthy of love and sympathy. Like a statue, a sculpture, a painting, or song, art doesn't hide itself behind a wall of surface-level speech, aiming to manipulate you into finding it worthy of preference. Art is the most confident victim of the probing eye, allowing you to judge it fully so that you may fall in love with it as it truly is. They bring back with them car keys, IDs and floating leaves. Her lake, and thus her mind, are clear. As she looks out at the glistening monument her lake has become, her mouth begins to ripen and mature like mangoes on a tree. Each lip becoming redder and redder, so plump and wide, that the world's oceans couldn't keep them from drying. Yet paradoxically, now with a pair of lips suited for more than speaking, she's unable to form a word under the sheer weight of her tears. She is sitting on her post crying like a freshly disciplined child, so unable to control her breathing, that her chest, neck, and shoulders pulse in short pops upon her inhale. Her eyes are burning, and even after hooking her ankles, her legs continue to tremble to the point of numbness. Her neck disappears, as she lowers her head to rest her chin upon her sternum right above her breast. Using her small veiny hands, she grips her stomach, which now feels like a towel being twisted to lose its moisture. Her heart drops repeatedly, the creature within her is fighting for survival. These are the effects of heartbreak, of separation, of a death within oneself. Today, she is forced to divorce from the false character she built long ago. Her mask has fallen, and the shards, from its impact against the ground, have cut her eyes, so that she bleeds tears. In a state of heartbreak, we are ashamed of the part we play in its fruition. Ashamed that we did not acknowledge the signs of betrayal or boredom in our partner. That we may have noticed their eyes wandering outside of us, yet chose to ignore it. Signs like the change noticeable only to us, in their level of excitement when we arrive, or how cold and casual their words are becoming. You think back to when your relationship began and remember knowing that it was never going to last. That your union was flawed in unfixable ways from the start. You are sobered into admitting that you are the only one to blame for your wet face and semi-suicidal feelings. She cries for being so wrong in the estimation of her own value and so blind to the clear avenue to her peace. To shut her mouth, so that the world could have the chance to love her, was all she had to do. A child-sized teddy bear with burgundy bloodstains and distressed fur calmly bubbles to the surface. And at the very same time, the lifeguard almost whispers, "Of what use is my whistle, if my whistle can't be used?" An aquatic drop is heard in the distance, her whistle is gone, never to be heard again.